Previously on Tribal Avengers. Kiyosuke tried to woo Cinnamon using big words. I admire your cultured, contentious comportment in light of our present circumstances.
You're so cultured.
Surprisingly, it actually worked. As you might recall, fresh after the loss of Cha-Cha and Cinnamon lying wounded, a new threat emerged. While the hostile tribals approached, our group assembled on the walls to organize the defense. Yoder, knowing the most about battle tactics, realized he could once more harness the power of the animal, whose name the new tribe now bore. He ran out and shot the black rhino, retreating quickly to the safety of the fort and leaving the attackers to deal with the fury of the wounded beast. Before being trampled to death by the black brute, the assailants inflicted enough wounds for our tribe to easily finish it off, defending their lives in the simplest way possible. This time. Now, you must never forget, on Rimworld, things happen differently. There, on the day you turn 83, some imperceptible force can give you a gift which you might not necessarily enjoy very much. It's almost as if these people are some kind of playthings in the hands of whimsical gods, isn't it? Regardless, they realized it would be good to have a space where they could meet and celebrate such events, just like they did in their old village. So they planned out the construction of a new gathering spot. All of a sudden, Elvine entered Kiyosuke and Cinnamon's room and destroyed their double bedroll. After which, she returned to the kitchen and nonchalantly proceeded to cook. What drove her to such an unprovoked attack? Envy? Wrath? Madness? Kiyosuke and Cinnamon didn't know, but this incident only deepened her existing aversion towards women, and she demanded he doesn't let Elvine go unpunished. And what Kiyosuke said can only be attributed to his inexperience with the fairer sex. I think you are overreacting. And this is how he spent that night. As they were going about their everyday chores, almost as if materializing out of thin air, warriors of the same tribe which attacked them a few days prior jumped out of the tall grass and charged the closest target, the Muffalo. It would seem that the survivors of the raid stopped by the rhino came back with reinforcements, this time being a lot sneakier about their intentions. Cinnamon exploited one bowman's fixation on the Muffalo and deftly felled him with her axe. After which, she quickly jumped to Yoder's aid, because he was being chased by two intruders. Fernand intrepidly charged the remaining three bowmen, killing the one already wounded by the Muffalo and enabling the rest of the tribe to dispatch the two naked berserkers attacking them. But before going down, the male warrior managed to score a hit with a ferocious swing of his war club, shattering Cinnamon's left foot and knocking her to the ground in excruciating pain. The female berserker and the last two bowmen finally lost their resolve and fled, leaving our tribe to tend to the wounded. After chasing the berserker away, Kiyosuke returned to help the wounded animal, while Goose carried Cinnamon to their room, which was designated as the temporary infirmary. Elvine already brought Yotter there, and Kiyosuke now dressed his wounds. When turning to attend to the Muffalo, he saw Cinnamon's horrific injury for the first time. Due to the immense shock, he left the room and ended up wandering around in a stupor for some time. It would certainly be easy to judge him, but bear in mind he was an expert farmer, not a warrior, and working in the fields could not have prepared him for the sight of blood everywhere and of his lover's mangled limb. While Goose and Elvine helped the animals, Cinnamon displayed incredible resilience, promptly getting up and hobbling on the crippled leg. Not in full possession of his faculties, Kiyosuke at one point even tried to joke with Elvine. He told her, "Hey Elvine, how will you recognize a crazy monkey? He goes bananas." To which Elvine reacted with the full mirth a joke of such quality warrants. Not long after, the stress and the blood loss caused Kiyosuke to collapse from exhaustion. Goose took him to the infirmary and helped him as best she could, but he tried to get up too soon, only to helplessly collapse again. Surprisingly, this time it was Elvine who provided assistance. She quickly finished the new bedroll and helped Kiyosuke get in it so that he could rest in greater comfort. This was certainly a refreshing change, but was quite puzzling after the destruction of the first bedroll. Something about Elvine was clearly different, and it made her behavior quite erratic. Hopefully, she has shown her true colors now, and will continue to be a dependable member of this small community. A new day, a new problem. Some kind of sickness made a wild boar frenzied, and when it wandered into the tribe's base, it suddenly charged the unsuspecting humans. It proved to be but a minor threat and was dispatched quickly, but Yotter suffered the brunt of its attack, and a few of his still fresh wounds from the last raid opened again. This was also the day of the first hay grass harvest, and now they had the material they needed to complete the construction of their communal space. But before they could dedicate some time to that project, it would seem that the pain caused by many wounds became too much for Yotter to stand, and he vented his frustration by smashing the walls of his room, causing even more bruises and injuries. Afterwards, he had to rest and recover, not even able to come out and talk to a group of friendly visitors, leaving his room just to get some food, while others worked diligently and chatted with their guests. Meanwhile, look at these pesky ferrets, devouring yet another unfortunate victim they ganged up on. Our poor little Cha-Cha, you are not forgotten. As we reminisce about the animal they lost, quite unexpectedly, 2 new ones joined our tribe. Coming from who knows where, a pair of dromedaries ran straight towards the base, and these creatures, known for their endurance and substantial carrying capacity, were very much welcome to stay. All the time and effort Goose invested into research finally yielded a significant result. She was able to learn some secrets of the medieval technologies, enabling them to start producing new items and make better use of the resources they had available. Next, she would focus on weapons and armor crafting, as that was absolutely necessary for the success of their quest. With Yotter recovered, the tribe proceeded to complete the new village center, which provoked bittersweet emotions in most of them, as they were glad to regain a piece of their former home, and sad because it also reminded them of what they had lost. Such sentiments put Yotter in a foul mood, which amplified his aspirations for finer things. And looking around in his smashed room, he decided Goose's was much nicer. That caused his blood to boil, and then his frustrations erupted in form of a verbal abuse directed at Goose. Your father was an idiot. He believed in giraffes. Giraffes! I remember your brother. Such a good-looking man. If he was a lobster. I hope you go completely blind soon. That can only improve your fashion sense. Descendant of the chief's my rumpus, you are clearly an offspring of a yokel line. You should live with the wild boars. You already look like one. As if Yotter's rage provoked the fury of Mother Nature, immediately after his tirade finished, an intense flash storm started, and its lightning strike set several trees in the vicinity of the base ablaze. While others rushed to prevent the fire from spreading to their crops, Goose stayed behind. Even though she didn't visibly react to Yotter's words, she was profoundly offended by them, and decided to teach the rude young man a lesson. I'm a wild boar, he says. I'll show him a wild boar then. The rest of the tribe fought fires all night and the better part of the next day, all the time wondering why Goose never joined them. Upon returning to base, an odd sight greeted them. Goose was wandering around, but she didn't respond to their inquiries regarding her whereabouts, nor did she seem to even acknowledge their presence. Instead, she would skulk from bush to bush, sniffing the branches and devouring any berry or beetle she could find. Who can tell what goes on in an older pawn's mind? It would seem that the intention to put Yotter to shame took somewhat of a wrong turn in Goose's brain, and while pretending to be an animal, she started to actually behave like one. Seeing she will not follow them willingly, the rest of them went to their rooms and slept like the dead, exhausted by the lengthy battle with fire. After a good night's rest, Yotter remembered hearing about such a condition from elders who taught him about animal handling, which can make people behave like animals, called anamorphosis. He was also told such people can recover, but only with the help of an exceptionally skilled handler, who could approach them and tame them, not unlike a wild beast. Thinking, quite rightly, he was the cause of Goose's new condition, he felt a great shame and was determined to bring her back to the tribe. So he immediately started working with animals, both domesticated and wild, to increase his understanding and knowledge of them, and help Goose regain her reason. Meanwhile, Goose has wandered away from the base, and was now roaming the countryside with other animals. abandoning her armor and clothes, as if she's shedding her humanity, piece by piece. Misfortune never seems to be too far from the sad black rhino tribe, and now down to only 4 members. Again, they were the target of another hostile band. Luckily, they could again use their, now customary tactic, of provoking a large animal and letting it take care of the threat for them. This time, they used the presence of a thrumbo, otherwise completely docile, but when harmed, extremely deadly creature. It was Kiyosuke who executed the plan, and joined the maddening thrumbo in fighting the intruders. Not that it needed much help to swiftly murder the objects of its rage. Only one attacker managed to escape its fury, leaving the battle as hastily as possible, followed by Kiyosuke's victorious cry. "Yes, yes, you better run, and tell your friends to stop messing with the sad black rhino tribe." Kiyosuke swiftly retreated to the fort, and while the attack of humans was repelled, now they had a raging thrumbo to deal with. Yoder, feeling the need to redeem himself after the incident with Goose, wanted to prove himself a true warrior, which he certainly up until now didn't demonstrate by throwing tantrums and insulting old ladies. He left the safety of the walls and commenced single combat with the thrumbo, using his endurance and agility, but primarily the most powerful weapon humans have, and beasts have no chance of matching: his wits. The battle lasted for many hours, until at last, heaving heavily from the exertion, Yoder struck a final blow to the mighty creature, feeling immensely proud of himself. Spurred on by the well-earned victory, he continued to train animals with even more fervor, and was soon feeling sufficiently skilled to begin the taming of Goose. And even though he wasn't particularly thrilled by the prospect of petting the uncovered 83-year-old woman, making soothing noises while offering her some rice from the palm of his hand, he did it nonetheless. And failed. As chance would have it, precisely then a group of traveling warriors was passing by, and seeing what they surely considered a bizarre spectacle, left an excellent war tabard as a gift. If one was to hazard a guess, it is quite likely they felt sorry for our tribe. Whatever their motivation might be, Yoder was quite happy to claim this piece of underarmor, which he felt was fully deserved after his recent triumph. With this new garment, not only Yoder's appearance changed, there was a different air about him, as if proving himself to be an accomplished warrior, and now looking like one inspired some sort of transformation. Even though he used to pay no attention to Cinnamon, unlike most other youths in their old village, Yoder used a chance encounter to unexpectedly tell her. He was lately thinking about the importance of honesty a lot, but he just couldn't bring himself to be completely honest with people. Before Cinnamon could come up with something to say, he quickly retreated, leaving her quite perplexed as to what exactly happened. Whatever that was about, Yoder continued with the attempts to tame Goose, hoping for a success with milk as the bait. But Goose pretty much ignored him, and happily took a nap in the dirt. Other than that, nothing ridiculous or hapless was going on, which the tribe considered to be a nice change of pace, and they enjoyed some quiet time in the base, surrounded with their amiable animal companions. Moreover, something potentially very good occurred. A man, displaying the same behavior and clothing preference as Goose, meandered in the direction of their base. Having just domesticated another Muffalo, Yotter felt confident he could tame this wild man too, growing their tribe in size, as was the plan all along. But in Rimworld, reprieves are never long-lasting, as yet another group of hostile tribals showed up. Did they belong to the same tribe that was harassing them so far? Or were they a new threat altogether? Our tribe could not know. But what they did know was that only 4 of them won't have an easy time defending against this new danger. So they attempted to execute their tactic once more and incite the nearby grizzly bear to attack. However, it would seem that Kiyosuke managed to find the only meek grizzly in all the lands, as this one just ignored him, even after being shot with an arrow. Perhaps further aggression would change the bear's mind, but Kiyosuke had to rush back to the base, because intruders cleverly bypassed the defensive walls and traps, and made use of a narrow passage on the riverbank to breach the fort. Having worked with them so much, Yotter could now rouse Fernand and the Muffalo to charge into battle, and then the tribe could assault the distracted attackers. In the first moments of battle, the plan worked brilliantly, and 2 invaders were quickly defeated. But then Fernand got confused and charged in the wrong direction, leaving the Muffalo alone against 3 opponents. Cinnamon won the duel against the bowwoman, but almost concurrently lost 2 of her comrades in arms. The Muffalo was outnumbered, and Yotter fell victim to bad luck, as a hastily shot arrow hit exactly the vital spot. Kiyosuke joined the fray from range, but Cinnamon and Elvine were now facing 2 hulking warriors, and out of nowhere, another one appeared. Unbalanced on her crippled leg, Cinnamon was incapacitated, and just moments later, Elvine as well. How quickly the situation changed. Feeling like they already won, the attackers grabbed Yotter and Cinnamon and started to make a getaway. Elvine would undoubtedly have been next, but as if spurred by some instinct, the dromedaries and new Muffalo joined the battle and occupied the attention of 2 invaders. Meanwhile, Kiyosuke found himself in the unenviable situation of having to stop the kidnappers before they managed to get away with Yotter and his darling Cinnamon. Hit. Miss. Hit, and the kidnapper carrying Yotter was down. But now, a true test of his resolve. Will Kiyosuke's aim hold steady with his loved one's life at stake? Miss. 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 Taking a deep breath, Kiyosuke mustered every ounce of metal he hoped to somehow suddenly possess and let another arrow loose. It flew true, and Cinnamon was saved. At the same time, the dromedary and Muffalo overpowered one of the remaining attackers, while the last one realized he was the only one of his band left and fled as fast as his legs could carry him. But look at this. Kiyosuke was the only member of the tribe left standing. Everyone, both humans and animals, were wounded and bleeding, in urgent need of assistance. If you remember, In the aftermath of the attack, which left Cinnamon crippled, Kiyosuke completely lost his nerve, and this situation was clearly far worse. His heart pounding wildly, Kiyosuke took a moment to survey the battlefield. What will Kiyosuke do? Whom can he save? We will find out. Next time on Tribal Avengers, the tribe finds a moment of peace and tranquility. Followed by the immediate return of madness and mayhem.